Really just hoping that we get a game where Hansama and Kobbe get the chance to go toe-to-toe yesterday. A heartbreak for Splyce and for Kobbe, specifically in the loss versus Fnatic, but he was also playing what felt like top form. So if we get more fights like that, this game is going to be an absolute banger. For now, though, debates on the final ban for the side of Misfits Gaming. A lot of really powerful picks still up and open. The Xayah, Rakan, neither one touch, so...
I think you should ban Corki here. Oh, Sejuani.
It's going to be classic, but we'll give options over. Otherwise, the Corki could be taken, something Humanoid has been reasonably comfortable on, but the Yuumi, something I've completely forgotten, and it is up.
So this is cool. This does give pressure on Hansama if they want to secure the Lucian here. Normally, you want to separate Yuumi and Lucian because those lanes work very well together. And again, it feels like this focus has been split. It used to be that you just ban away as many assassins as possible, you watch Leader's champion pool fall over, and Misfits are no longer effective. But with Hansama being a threat, it means that there are other viable options, and Xayah Rakan is what it is. They're going to give away the Lucian Yuumi.
Ooh, taking their time. But Xayah, Gragas, of course, knowing that they can take their time unlocking the Rakan, instead opting for the Gragas for Kirei, something we've seen him be quite successful with when it comes to making an impact specifically in that mid lane. Him and Leader pulling off multiple successful 2v1 kills.
This also means that there's the possibility that the Yasuo gets locked in here if they want to play the Leader Classic with the Yasuo-Gragas combo. That's the Lucian that we were talking about, and then I assume that that's going to be the jungle Sylas, although, however, still a flex pick.
Technically still a flex pick, but I feel like in the hands of Xerxe, I always think it's a little bit more likely going into the jungle, but Splyce, of course, holding on to a bit of that flexibility. Yasuo, I think, is the right pick, Frosk. If they pick Zed or something else, I'm not gonna say it's trolling. Leader is a master of melee champions with dashes, but it is the Yasuo, and this duo is horrifying. Whether you play it as a bot lane AD carry support duo, mid jungle, does not matter. These two champions together is a nightmare to deal with.
But we saw it coming, so it means that Splyce absolutely saw it coming. So what is the plan here from Splyce? Is Humanoid actually taking that Sylas? What are they going to secure in the jungle, and how will they maneuver around this terrifying 2v2 mid jungle from Misfits?
And of course, could Misfits improve on what we saw last time the Yasuo was here? Was not the most impressive performance from Leader. Do we see Leader in peak form up against Humanoid? For now, the Azir will be banned away, making sure some of those control mage options have been taken off the plate for Humanoid.
And I feel like what Leader wants is he wants Humanoid to go toe-to-toe with him. He wants to take away a lot of these safe laning options so he can actually try to thrive on this Yasuo. So we'll see if they also double down, take something away like a Corki. If not, that's also a possibility that Humanoid could go for.
But interesting now that the Rakan has been taken off the board, something that Hiva has had one or two pretty, honestly, incredible games on over the course of this split, but...
He could just go Nautilus.
Yeah, the disadvantage, of course, of having to kind of priority pick for Leader, as you mentioned, because his picks are so telegraphed and so easy to ban out in the second phase, is that they do give up that Rakan. Still good options, though. The Renekton actually going to get taken away, too, something that DanDan has struggled against in the top side. I think for him and a lot of these scaling picks that he likes to pull out, a bit difficult to deal with an early lane bully.
So there's the Alistar. Now Hiva still has access to other engaged supports like his Nautilus that he likes to play. I'd love to see this though.
That's locked in. I thought that was a hover, folks. All right, a Volibear on the bottom side of the map. Can function as a knockup for the Yasuo when necessary, when disrupting a champion already in the air.
So super cool thing about Volibear is obviously when Yuumi uses her ultimate, he can usually get to her before she gets the root lockdown. It takes 3 passes, I believe, of the ultimate before it can root you. And then when he flips her over, it is super disoriented as the Yuumi because it's obviously based about where your champion is located and shooting out all of those rays. So I really like Volley into Yuumi, and he can really mess her up.
It's like the standoff. It's like bear versus gun at this point. Like, can you knock the bear down before bear gets to you?
Bear versus cat.
Bear versus cat, yeah, but like, I don't know. We'll work on the metaphor, folks. Let us know if you have any opinions. But the Skarner will be the final pick locked in. I cannot wait to see this bottom side of the map. Volibear Xayah versus a Lucian Yuumi. It's going to be quite explosive. But the Skarner, as well as the Aatrox on the top side, does make things a little bit easier, but that does, of course, commit the Sylas into the mid lane, into the hands of Humanoid. So it is melee versus melee, as asked for Froskurinn, along with DanDan's Jack. So final game, let's bust out some comfort picks, seems to be the story here.
But this is one of the scary things about taking Aatrox is that you know that DanDan has that pocket pick of the Jax, and so a lot of teams will try to avoid that. So again, Splyce knew what they were getting into. They chose to opt into it anyway. Can Chachi deal with DanDan, and do Splyce have some sort of option when he becomes an unsolvable problem in a side lane?
And so far, for DanDan, it feels like he's had incredible heroic moments on this champion. And for Vizicsacsi, obviously, it was a bit of a struggle yesterday. So see what he can do today to match. Vizicsacsi, of course, very polarizing player, has heroic game-saving moments, is a clutch player in his own right, but also makes some of those small mistakes that have often cost Splyce a bit here and there. Both coaches shaking hands in what will be the final game for both squads of the regular season. Tiebreakers, potentially, for Splyce later in the day. But all of that starts with a win here. And they're going to need to shut down. They're going to need to stop this Misfits gaming lineup. Not allow the Yasuo, the comfort picks, the Jax from DanDan to succeed in this game whatsoever.
Remember, a team with nothing to lose is at its most dangerous, and Splyce cannot stumble. It is a multi-step plan. Plan 1, you have to win here if you want a chance at securing second.
Here we go, folks. It's time. Splyce versus Misfits. This is it, folks. Splyce, second place, no longer in their control. But if they want a shot at that tiebreaker, it starts with a win here. And as much as I want to build stakes for you right now, a dancing bear is already a little bit more entertaining.
I do want to start with the Dancing Bear. So quickly peeking in at the itemization between Hansama and Hiva down there. They've taken the Doran Shield start for Xayah, and then of course have the Relic for Volibear. And I like the fact that, of course, you're going to have Relic on Volibear, but it helps deal with the sustain that Kobbe is going to get out of Norskeren's Yuumi. And I think it helps them prolong their lane phase while still giving a lot of that respect. But I don't think that it dissuades the kill pressure that they can have down there, but still at a combat summoner disadvantage. So I like the start. Hopefully it works out for them. We've had very hit and miss Volibears all over the world.
Yeah, very true. And I'm curious to see how exactly they deal with it early game. Of course, Lucian and Yuumi, Lucian very strong pretty much every stage of the laning phase. Yuumi usually wants a back. And for Volibear, a champion that falls off pretty hard as you move later in the game, but early game, because of the power of that passive, nigh impossible to win any kind of all-in against them. But now with this pressure point, this potential pressure point on the bottom side of the map, it's going to be curious to see how it affects what would normally be a conversation all about mid lane. Because once again, there is a formula to Misfits, and the formula begins and ends with this man in the mid lane currently on your screen. So what are they going to do to set leader up this time around? Or will we see maybe a bit of a different approach with this aggressive bot side?
I mean, usually it's about ganking for the assassin, or at least setting up early game skirmishes that the assassin can participate in. That said, there's still great scaling potential for Misfits. It doesn't have to be all about make or break in the early game, because you do have a Jax, you do have a Yasuo, whereas I feel like Splyce, much more comfortable in kind of their 2-item power spike. I think mid-game is a big power point for them, especially when you have something like a Lucian. The pathing did start top side for Xerxe. He's now spotted out by this ward, but if given the opportunity, I think he's just going to try to power farm towards 6, maybe look for some counter ganks.
Ooh, and leader, very easy for him to move in and try to take away a few of those Raptors.
Help?
I think
got all of them.
I mean, in his eyes, there's so many targets there for the sweeping blade. He can leap in, trying to steal some away. Looks scary. Xerxe was not intimidated whatsoever. He thought that was a PvE game and they were just working on the mobs together.
I actually just thought it was Humanoid's Yasuo just coming over, helping him out, leash the camp.
But that could have been the heroic moment where you steal away 4 Raptors, you get the early level 3 in lane, and you look so cool doing it.
Okay, pay attention to Kirei, however. He's actually just changed up some of the pathing. Normally we see top clear into reset to get the boots for access to Predator boots. And then they go back to their side, but he's actually placed an early ward on top side for leader to allow leader to be very aggressive like this and also help cover DanDan here in the river, and then now walk back towards his wolf camp. So he's delayed his back, sacrificed some of his early gank potential to cover for his solo laners.
And the question is this going to cost him? Xerxe also has not opted to go for a back. Will look to contest the Spire as well as a Crab here. Has a good bit of vision down. Can walk into this one. Has Smite available. No Predator for either side. Kirei posturing like he has the chance to protect, but his bottom lane is pushed in. His mid lane, though, potentially could be in trouble on the side of Misfits. Leader has to be careful. He knows Xerxe's on the bottom side of the map. Windwall was going to block 4 now. Will not stop the Skarner from stunning him, however, if they do want to commit. Leader not going to flash out to safety quite yet. It's so low and is burning. Now forced to flash anyway. Just barely going to live in that one, but playing a little bit too much with fire there.
I'm going to say he did the math, though. It wasn't a flash in vain. He does manage to get out of that one. Great reaction from Xerxe. He checks in. He sees that Kirei's on the blue, so he very quickly realizes, okay, he didn't take the back, reset his jungle, walk to his buff. He actually went top side to bot side, and then turned his attention to the mid lane where Misfits had priority because leader was so far forward down in the lane, gets the gank, forces off the flash, now protects Humanoid even though he didn't get the kill, and slows down what Misfits wanted.
Oh, now Kobbe's in trouble on the bottom side. Big damage coming in from the bear. The heal comes out, but it's not enough. Hansama now in trouble with Vizicsacsi there to play cleanup. Hiva now has to run for the hills. Is this passive up and available? Will start to heal him back up to safety, but no one else is coming. Nigh impossible to get away from this cat. There goes the prowling projectile. Vizicsacsi now on the hunt. Can Hiva make it out to safety? TP coming down to the bottom side. One being matched by the side of Misfits. Uses the knockback just briefly, trying to make his way out of this one. Hiva, can he escape in the end? Kobbe's here too. The TP to secure it in the end, and Splyce come out on top.
And it's Hansama there who TP's back in. I believe he also just dashed across the wall, picked up the kill. Doesn't have his summoner spell flash though, so we'll keep track on that to see if Misfits attempt to punish.
Obviously a bit of a wacky trade there in the end. Now excited to see this replay, though, exactly how this initially broke out. Good snare from Hansama, follow-up from Hiva there.
Yeah, and this is basically where we caught it. They just get walked down, but no one's accounting for the TPs. There was TP for both top laners, DanDan and Vizicsacsi. You can see that the wave is pushed forward, so DanDan's collecting the minions being funneled into him. Chachi has the space. He immediately pulls the trigger on the teleport and joins his team.
Very difficult there. Hiva so close to making it out. Obviously, Kirei too little too late here as he moves down to the bottom side, but good that Kobbe is able to TP in kind of a valuable way and able to grab the kill too. Hex Flash. Hiva, though, constantly threatening. Very Alistair style play where you're just threatening the Hex Flash on the side of the brush, ready to go in at a moment's notice, but now DanDan actually getting aggressive on the top side. Will lock up Vizicsacsi. This looks like just a good trade, however. Not going to be able to commit to anything else here. Once those cooldowns are gone, Jax just immediately starts to lose. Vizicsacsi very clearly more comfortable in this exchange.
Yeah, well, he's also got access to his boots as well as the Kindle Gem for Chachi, and CDR means so much for Aatrox. So he's going to feel really good until DanDan gets another back because he's just sitting on the Cole and the Doran's blade right now.
Yeah, and that's, you can tell he's on the scaling plane. Instantly tells us that, but the flash is committed. Kirei now stepping forward. Body slam flash as well. Vizicsacsi in trouble, and they will take him down. All of bait as DanDan hits level 6. Splyce bottom lane. Gonna get a bit aggressive, but overall just good solid play from Misfits.
Yeah, really nice chaining of the CC between Kirei and DanDan to make sure that the stun hit. It was then followed up by the belly bop, so wonderfully executed. Now Chachi was playing weak side where his jungler was on bot. You can see that they now have control of the ocean, so they trade Chachi's life for this ocean drake for Splyce.
Yeah, definitely not ideal for Vizicsacsi to get caught out, but ocean, of course, is going to make what was a pretty easy lane for Vizicsacsi thus far even easier here. Help keep him nice and healthy. And of course for Yuumi, who really never has to get hit by anything. It's going to be pretty much perma-ocean on the bottom side of the map whenever Yuumi wants access to it. So that's going to make an already frustrating champ to lane against even more frustrating. Misfits do what they can to hold on the bottom side here as pressure starts to mount from both the Lucian and the Yuumi.
Chachi now taking time where he's pressured the wave up to kind of cheat towards this mid lane, see if there's any opportunity for him. Leader is still missing a flash.
Potentially be in trouble. Good initial CC can come in from Humanoid, but Windwall, of course, can block the abduct there. Hex Flash over. Norskeren fighting with fire here, but I can try to leap back when he can as long as the roar's up and available. Norskeren instantly taken down, baited completely by the side of Misfits.
And just thinking that he was safe to try to contest that that vision ward right there. I had some questions about Norskeren, how it was going to impact Splyce's vision game, being on a champion like Yuumi, who is much more reliant on her having her team help set her up when she places wards. It's not like playing a Braum or a Nautilus, these champions that Norskeren is used to playing, where you just kind of walk in blind, place down whatever you want. You need to be much more careful about how you're doing it because you are so squishy. And it feels like a lot of players feel very confident that, hey, you can just probably try to dash back to safety, but often gets interrupted.
Well, that's chomped. Specifically about the Volibear matchup that's so frustrating because of the power of the E, you actually can't. In most other matchups, you have a chance. Maybe not a Nautilus, maybe not the Alistairs, but there's a lot of champions where you can just react, get away, get to your AD carry, but this simply is not one of them. Once Hiva is on top of you, there's no safety. There's no you and me anymore. It's just Yuumi all on her own, ready to die. And it might be the case once again if Splyce get too aggressive here. Norskeren once again kind of detaching and laying down a bit of vision, however. Will stop Hiva from approaching anymore. Wants to get back inside, but won't be able to get the back there. A bit unfortunate.
I like how Hiva's playing with fire, just trying to see if Kobbe's going to plant his feet and actually execute with the back. Just testing him.
But now we're 9 minutes in. Gold, negligible difference, Froskurinn. You know, you've got an Ocean Drake. You can see it's been very back and forth so far, but what do we actually need to look at here? The Yasuo has not died 3 times in the early game, so leader's doing pretty well, I'd say, from what we've seen so far this season. But when do we actually see some of these level 6s start to matter? Because no one has really found any crazy successful plays outside of that bottom lane action.
I mean, the big level 6 is always going to be Xerxe, who he's now level 7, so you're obviously looking at the Skarner ultimate, but I actually don't think this is a bad position for either team. Again, I don't think it's so important that Misfits find early game kills to snowball leader ahead, because once you open up this map, you kick Jax and Yasuo into both of your side lanes, and unless Vizicsacsi and Humanoid get far enough ahead, it's still going to be a difficult matchup for them to deal with. So I actually think the fact that it's a slower game doesn't give an advantage one way or the other to either team.
Ooh, interesting. So we're in the standoff scenario then. Always my favorite because you get to drop down into a serious voice anytime anyone goes for anything, changing the action.
Unfortunately, this game should really start taking off when we have some more of our early skirmishes. Again, we have access to key ultimates. Humanoid now has access to the Sylas ultimate. That's when Sylas really becomes online as a champion, as pro players like to say. And again, usually when you have an assassin like Yasuo, it is about early skirmishes. But the Ocean Dragon was taken very early, so that's kind of why we have this lull. We traded Vizicsacsi's death for Ocean. That was the big objective to fight over.
Oh, but here comes Hiva chasing down the cat once again. Norskeren in his eyes. The ulti canceled, and he just dies in an instant. Oh, God, the food pyramid is merciless, Froskurinn. Thank God humans are at the top.
And this was, again, the question that I had. How is Norskeren going to transfer onto playing a champion like Yuumi, which is just so different?
Leader does make it out to safety, though. Good flash to back out of that one.
But back to the point, it's now twice, unfortunately, that Norskeren has been caught on this cat. Hopefully he doesn't make it a third time.
Very difficult spot to be in, of course. Still able to get some items, still able to get some gold, but not at all the situation that they were hoping for. Decent CS lead for Kobbe, however, so the bot lane is not too far off. You see the Moby boots coming in from Hiva. Hiva, though, smite it out. Might take a lot of damage here, but it's not going to matter because instant Yasuo into the midst of the team, and those stolen ults for Humanoid don't matter too much. But the AoE auto attacks are going to make a big difference as they start to push for a little bit more. The knockup is there from Leader. Good damage. Hansama now coming in off to the side. Kobbe's bit off more than he can chew. Hansama now chasing him down. Will not commit anything else. Will not use the ult here. And in the end, Misfits come out on top.
Yeah, and Misfits have the confidence to go for that play because they had priority in bottom and in mid. So they walk in with the numbers advantage, get to the play first. Now, it was a good rotation from Splyce to try to trade back and collapse on the jungle. But ultimately, as soon as Hansama showed up, they just had to disengage from the fight. Taking another look at this one, Xerxe feels like he's found Hiva. Kirei, of course, right around the corner. It's just a chain CC nightmare. Humanoid does deal good damage back, and it's always nice to pick up those kills for the Sylas, but again, there's that numbers difference.
Yeah, and at the end, I was unimpressed thus far by the power of the Volibear ult stolen away, but in later stages of the game with that much AP, maybe it can be a threat in team fights.
He's even got Swifties.
He's just so fast. He's just so impossible to get away from. And this is the dream for Leader. The more opportunities that he has to just push ult on someone instead of having to use his own charged up Q to do so, it's just ideal. And now, you were talking about this the day before. They got the Herald Froskurinn. Is it worth? Because they're giving up a ton of plates here on the bottom side.
And that's the thing that you have to measure the Herald against, is that securing the objective, did your investment into taking it actually equal enough over time? So they're going to get some plates into the mid lane. Meanwhile, Kobbe's been getting plates into the bottom as well as all of this experience. And there's actually no one here to defend this.
Good bit of gold shared back and forth, trying to look for the demolish block, but Hiva now needs to get out. Walks face first into Vizicsacsi. Hiva now going to try to escape. Does manage to dodge out, still alive. Kirei can buy a bit more time if he wants to use the cask, but it has already been taken away, and that means one death. Already going to go down. Meanwhile, on the top side, DanDan pushing in.
That's a big problem. DanDan's level 10 to Chachi's level 8. So while Vizicsacsi is actually getting pulled around, I'm sure if he approaches the wave, he'll probably be very close to level 9, so it's only really a 1 level difference. But Xayah is, there he goes. So now level 9 to level 10. Xayah is getting punished to DanDan in this 1v1 because he's getting pulled around the map so much.
And we have to remember that that was a TP used to the bottom side of the map to support the team to make sure a bad exchange where Hiva caught Splyce out got turned around. So Vizicsacsi sacrificing a lot for the squad overall. It's not working out.
It was so much the TP play because he actually did it when the wave was pushed forward. It was more so when he died, when his team was giving resources to the Ocean, which this will be their second Ocean back-to-back, and it was that death that really cost him because he didn't have TP.
I was going to make it like a Xayah sacrifice for his team, but...
Ah, yes, the hero, Xayah.
I was trying to make him out to be the hero, Froskurinn, and not the guy that got caught in the gank where he shouldn't have got caught, but that's also true. Difficult day for Vizicsacsi. And now Splyce doing what they can to take back. Of course, double Ocean is going to be nice for the team overall, but really not going to stop any of this all-in. Not a ton of poke on the side of Misfits, so not a lot to mitigate there with the Ocean Drake.
But we are starting to have an open map, and we're going to see how both these compositions work. We talked about a lot of the side lane that Misfits comp would love to play in because they want those isolated 1v1s and with their duelists. I want to talk about Yuumi and Skarner. It's kind of the same idea of like Karma and Skarner or Sivir and Skarner. I think Zoomies with a champion that needs to gap close means that Xerxe doesn't have to be so reliant on his flash to make that ultimate count for him.
Oh, well, there's that. Plan was to take away World's Belt from Splyce today. Of course, they gave it to Fnatic yesterday, but I guess taking their second spot away is nice as well. So confidence from leader.
Is he assuming that they still have the belt? Did he assume that Splyce were going to win?
No, because he couldn't because they lost
he was like,
the belt.
we would also get the belt.
He's like, I would have liked the belt, but I'm happy just crushing your dreams instead. 0-0-2 so far from leader, but still the potential to crush dreams as we move later in the game. And I like the confidence from Misfits. You saw it on stage, you saw it in the 1v1s. You now see it in the Fearless Comfort picks and the Hex Flash over the wall from Hiva. Humanoid forced to back off, but they have to be careful. Stolen Gragas all knocked back. Humanoid taking this wave on all by himself. You're going to miss completely with that Gragas ult.
Yeah, really good cover from Humanoid, using the Gragas ult not only to disengage, but also try to hit a lot of those minions to clear out the wave, like you're saying. That was, what, 1v3, an incoming 1v4 situation, and Humanoid eats up a lot of Misfits time while his team were taking backs. Now Splyce have the numbers advantage on the map. You can see them setting up in that bot side river. They should push this tower down.
Good to funnel more resources into Kobbe. Of course, 1.5 items completed for him. Just a single item for Hansam at the moment. We'll see how much gold he can spend when he does go back. A lot of tower plates taken up from the side of Splyce. Vizicsacsi goes back into the tower, now trying to turn the play. DanDan looks to fish for the stun here, but Vizicsacsi is going to make it out thus far. Humanoid now going for the turn. Hiva can try to do something, but he's just a level 7 support bear. And oh no, DanDan! The betrayal of a lifetime, but Hiva will use his flash and will make it out to safety.
I would say it's fine. DanDan got alive. It looked like for sure he was going to die right there. Could have been better, but...
Oh, Predator. That's going to be an ulti forced out. Is he going to keep stepping forward? No, but honestly, just a great series of plays from Splyce. Good collapse from Humanoid on the top side. DanDan now forced to move back in with the teleport top lane, and it felt like Misfits in complete control for the first 10 to 15 minutes or so, but now Splyce very much feeling more comfortable on the map, and it's kind of because of this pairing that you're talking about. Norskeren, Xerxe, the Scorpion Cat.
But this is the danger zone. Unless they're actually teamed up as Scorpion Cat, this little Norskeren can get caught out at any time, so he needs to really use his buddy system.
Oh man, it is just like a school field trip.
Hold hands, everyone.
And for Hiva, he was a powerful bear just 5 minutes ago, but now I feel like that first and second items are going to start coming in. He's just not that scary without the looming threat of a Yasuo, maybe a Gragas too. And Norskeren still playing with a lot of confidence there as he moves forward. Kobbe going to push out the mid lane, and overall, Splyce very much in control thus far of this area. 1 minute and 40 seconds is going to be the timer to watch. Infernal Drake will be the next major objective for both teams to fight over. But remember that DanDan is sort of a ticking time bomb on the top side of the map.
And the key thing to look at is also the TP discrepancy. So by the time that the Infernal comes back up, DanDan won't have access to his teleport, whereas Xayah does. And this is the Splyce special that they always pull Xayah. I'm very scared that a fight's about to break out, so I'll hold the point.
He's spotted him on the wall. Now they're going anyway. That's going to be the lockup. But Yasuo is not quite in range. It's not going to mean much of anything. Xerxe has, of course, been taken down now as the fight starts to break out, but huge damage coming in from Humanoid and Norskeren there in the play.
It was a 1-for-1 trade. The key thing, though, is that Xerxe used his flash, and again, that flash is really important for Skarner to be effective. A big team fight is coming up in 1 minute because it'll be the spawn of the Infernal. We assume that both teams are going to fight for it. Watch if that flash is the difference maker for Xerxe.
Definitely something to keep our eyes on. Hiva, of course, no flash of his own. Leader not able to get into that fight quite yet. Yasuo ulti range, not as long as it once was back when the champion first came out. Take a look back at this play. I love the confidence, but just a really good use of the sweeper. Could have gone from bad to worse if the team had stepped forward.
And constantly, Misfits are really good at finding opportunities like this. Think of how many times we've seen Hiva standing on the opposite wall of a Raptor camp. That's the 3rd time this game, and looking for plays. And that's just one of the fun things to watch with this young squad, is that live fast, die young. They always look for opportunities, and it either works for them or they burn themselves very quickly.
And that's a good, they're not playing for anything, so live fast, die young is fine. But on the opposite side, we'll hold that thought. Leader now going to be in trouble. Scorpion Cat slowly but surely pushing forward. Humanoid going to come in and try to reap the benefits. Leader now trying to run for his life. Does manage to get the knock. We're going to have to use the ult for the shield reset, but does not do it in the end. Just picked off on the side lane.
And that means that they're going to have control over this bottom side for Splyce, so they're moving into the Infernal. Meanwhile, Misfits like, okay, we can sacrifice bottom control of this map, but we can actually start playing towards DanDan, covering underneath him, and this Jax is still getting out of control. Level 13, level 11 to Chachi.
Now it's on DanDan to carry the game, and you have to remember, Misfits still pushing in. Vizicsacsi could be in trouble. The slow going to come down, but may not be enough. Kirei knocked back, pulled into the tower, though. Kirei has to go gold and use the stopwatch. They are going to be able to grab the kill, but the rest of Splyce now fishing for the collapse. Hansama waiting in the wings, waiting in the darkness, but it's going to be too little, too late. That's the shutdown. The Jax is gone. The Gragas will follow. 3 kills picked up for Splyce.
And 2 bloodthirsty, 2 greedy from Misfits right there. They don't get the tower. They overcommit for the kill. Splyce then pick up kills on the backside and get the Infernal. So cross map, it feels much better for Splyce, despite the fact that Misfits are still just barely hanging on to a gold lead.
And Hansama just literally never gets to keep his ult. Xerxe once again goes up and pops it, but Froskurinn, we have to remember, there's no strings attached for Misfits, but you can see that Splyce are taking this one, like, deadly seriously.
What are you supposed to do when there's suddenly 3 people just charging you underneath that tower? That is a bad time. That is a bounce house.
Yeah, I think a bit brutal there for Vizicsacsi. Really well used Infernal Chains. You know, the most that he could hope for, forcing out that stopwatch. If that wasn't there, he would have been able to grab a kill, but...
And look at the item difference between Chachi and DanDan at this point. You can see it in the CS, you can see it in the items, you can see it in the levels.
The levels, I think, yeah, very scary how he's been able to sustain a level lead this entire time. Good play from DanDan so far, but of course for Splyce, remember that it is still do or die for this team. They have to win here. They need Fnatic to lose to Rogue at the end of the day, and then, on top of all of that, they then need to beat Fnatic in the tiebreaker. Incredibly high-pressure day for Splyce. Cannot afford to falter here. Cannot afford to make mistakes or look weak. It is only going to make it that much easier for Fnatic to prey on them if they can even get to that tiebreaker. So, difficult day ahead.
And for Misfits, obviously, the stakes are not playoffs, but playing to play again, wanting to prove themselves onto the stage. As Broxa said it so brilliantly the other day, this is a team essentially full of rookies, and they're proving that they deserve to play in the LEC.
Absolutely something that they want to do. Of course, this is your resume builder. This is your opportunity to show off. Hansama had a fantastic day yesterday. His resume was already pretty spotless in a lot of circumstances, but yesterday a good indicator of that. See if Leader gets a day to pop off. But more than not, it just continues to feel like the DanDan show as he is split pushing on the bottom side of the map, but Humanoid will push in on this tower.
And that's the 2 stars right now. It's Humanoid and DanDan. DanDan with his CS, his levels, his items. Humanoid with all of the kills funneled into him, and you're going to see a lot of that damage dished out now.
Knock up there, knock back into the tower. Huge shutdown. Xerxe now pulling this Gragas. Has to run for his life. Leader now starting to step forward, but has been caught up in the creeps there for a brief moment. Xerxe just has to waddle away.
And that's pretty devastating because Humanoid was 5-1, now 5-2. And Xerxe's thinking, as long as I play around Humanoid, we're stronger. Look at how powerful this guy is. He didn't even get a chance to move. Kirei and Leader just locked him up there. And this is exactly how Misfits started to come back in their series against Vitality. They found these picks with Leader, they moved their assassins around the map, and they just catch teams off guard when they're setting up plays.
And the gold, this is such a wild gold grab for this game. It has been such a swing back and forth. You can see Misfits now with the gold advantage, but take a look back at this play. Good use of the minions, just the constant sweeping blade combined with the Steel Tempest there. Gets the knockup, but honestly, folks, that's not Yasuo damage. That is the, I think, 3-1 at the time Gragas in the jungle with Flat Pen, was Oblivion Orb at the time. Now he's finished the Morellas on top of the Runic Echoes. Kirei is a beefy boy at the moment.
It's a 3-pointer. Just from downtown,
just
launching the cast.
Just hold the defense still and just take the shot, Kirei. Can't miss this one.
Run.
Xerxe, ooh, goes in, now gets the flip back. Maybe hard for Xerxe to waddle his way out of this one. Now desperately trying to make it on safety, but the rest of the team is here. Forcing that summoner spell away from Xerxe is going to make it that much easier for a player like Hansama to survive in the fights to come.
Misfits have probably one of the most obnoxious compositions. If you ever get caught by any of them, you just never get to move. You're going to get thrown around so many multiple ways, just between the Volibear and the Gragas, before you even include a guy like the Yasuo.
Yeah.
That's fun.
This is some bruiser comps. It's like the me and the boys meme, making sure you never get to move. Like, it's actually brutal. Well, we'll see. I mean, maybe, in Splyce, of course, still, it's only going to get scarier because as strong as all this, you know, mobility denial is, all this CC is, it is stuff that Humanoid can take away if you continue to be strong. But for now, can DanDan make it out to safety? A random prowling projectile, not going to matter too much, but a fight breaks out. Kirei now trying to run for his life, but Kobbe going to take away that blue buff. That is huge. That was a fed Gragas just instantly taken off the map, and now Hansama has to run. Ulti forced out. Is he going to bring the feathers back? Tries to buy a bit more time. Forced to flash to safety. to make it away from that one. Misfits overstaying their welcome in the Splyce jungle.
But unfortunately, it's not translating into anything for Splyce in terms of major objectives. They're just actually trying to stop the bleeding. It was DanDan that was creating a big pressure point for Xayah, and Splyce is trying to cover him. They're not trying to funnel their resources back into this mid lane. It's why Misfits have staggered their backs, making sure that multiple people hang around. And now looking at turning it.
It's really hard to tell when Leader is serious about committing. Of course, wind wall down, that is a major cooldown. Knockup is there. That looked really cool, but really did nothing happen there.
I don't know.
Just clearing the wave.
Leader makes me really nervous to watch.
9 times out of 10, he's trying to kill someone in that situation. And that's why on the 10th time, you always back off and give him the respect. Kobbe, though, unafraid. Hiva is so squishy, but Leader now going to go on dash back. That's clean play coming in. Gets the dash through. Some Yasuo show-off mechanics. Doesn't get the kill, so we won't go into it anymore, but well played mechanically. Will not be able to get anything out of it. DanDan now has to run. Hope to leash the dragon in his favor. Leader now chasing him down. Norskeren, this is just a free kitty cat kill. All too easy. Ooh, ooh, ooh. 9 ways to skin a cat. That's all of them.
Splyce are actually funneling so hard on this Drake right now. They wanted to play for priority. They wanted to play clean, fundamental League of Legends. We get priority over mid lane. We rotate it into the Drake. The thing is Misfits are not playing by that game. They're just running it down the mid lane and finding these picks. You see the rest of Splyce standing on top of the dragon like, hello, what's happening? And Kobbe's like, everything's on fire in the mid lane. I am now dead. And Misfits walk towards Baron.
Oh, and they're just going to continue to chip through this one. Once again, a very strong team comp in terms of just individual damage threats. Kirei, though, very low. Now trying to be the ward, the wall to stop the team from getting in. Can they take this one away? The stolen Gragas ult isn't going to be enough. He does manage to smite it out, but DanDan now immediately leaps onto the jungler, looking for the 1v1. Buying a bit more time. Hansama has locked him up, but Leader now looking to go unstoppable on the backside. The tornado comes in, but Leader may just give his life here. The wind wall comes out, tries to buy as much time, tries to dash back through, but cannot get it. Kobbe will get taken down, though. He can fight the Yasuo, but he can't fight the Jax.
And that's at least 4 Barons now out for Misfits here, so damage done, and they swing the gold heavily in their favor. What was such a close game for such a long time is now wide open for Misfits.
Take a look back exactly at how this worked out, but just a very confident, secure, and you get maybe hopeful that the Gragas ult can be the miracle, but watch Leader in this one, watch Jax zoning Xerxe out, and it's just Splyce don't have the members to fight here.
I mean, at this point, Splyce were just trying for damage control, but Misfits beat them to the punch back to back. This is 2 times in the mid lane when they initially got the pick on Kobbe, and then immediately rotating into the Baron. They shoot from the hip. They're a very reactionary-based team, but it is really catching Splyce off guard. Splyce want to play a much slower, much more patient game, and Misfits aren't letting them.
Absolutely, and look at that damage split in the comp. You can see just the triple threats. Hansama, Leader, and DanDan pretty much equally bearing that damage burden across the board. And they're only going to get scarier as this game moves forward. And now, with the Baron up, we get to see that moment that you were talking about, Froskurinn. The moment that Splyce has to be scared of, because it is the Jax in the side lane, the Yasuo in the side lane, and you know the 3 is going to take up home in the mid lane, and that is going to be so difficult for Splyce to deal with.
It feels like as soon as Jax gets access to Spear of Shojin, he's almost unstoppable. It takes so many members to pile in and deal with this guy. So now there's a very obvious pressure point that Misfits can move around the map and then just divide and conquer Splyce however they like.
Ooh. And for Splyce, I mean, just holding on, getting what vision they can. Kirei waiting in the darkness. At least he thinks he is. Of course, good bit of vision there from Splyce to spot him out. And they have to play incredibly safe, because if there's any team that's going to be waiting in a random brush for you, Misfits is definitely on that list. DanDan, though, maybe the one to get caught out, but as you mentioned,
trap.
Spear of Shojin. Very strong. Going to be very hard for auto attacks to do a lot. He's just going to dash over the wall. Good bit of CC is going to connect. Can now look to pull him back. Counter-strike mitigating a lot of this damage. Spear Shojin not going to matter too much, but there's the leap strike. Not going to get out in the end. Locked down and taken out.
That was actually really good CC management. The fact that Norskeren held onto his ultimate for so long so that it would try to chain as soon as he came out of the impale from Skarner. So good job from Splyce. They also managed to pick off DanDan without losing anything else on the map. There's that random bush you wanted.
Here we go. Hiva goes right over the wall, but the rest of the team does not hesitate. Oh, that was some damage. A 7-2 in 6 Gragas on the back of a play.
I was like, so good. They're standing in the bush like, we don't need no damn bush. We can bring the bush to them. Flashes the wall.
That's hugely confident play from the side of Misfits. Now moving in, breaking their first inhibitor, very much on the road to win this game. 6K gold lead. The Dragons are not going to matter much on the side of Splyce. Really the only difference maker here. But perhaps a stolen ult can be enough. Hiva trying to dissuade any further aggression. Hansama still with the ultimate up and available. A difficult target to lock down, and more importantly, Xerxe has the flash, does not have the ult.
So that means that Splyce will just watch Misfits take their inhib and leave. Take another look at this one.
And in this Alien Rare replay, you can see DanDan, he attempts the heroic escape, but there's honestly just too much CC.
And again, while this is really cool to watch, just look at the mini-map here. It's the fact that Misfits, or Splyce picked the perfect moment that they could actually collapse on DanDan with multiple resources. Because if Kobbe and Norskeren don't die here, from the sheer brute force of Xayah just flying over that wall and giving them the bear, Splyce be like, that's fine. We killed DanDan, we stalled out long enough, we didn't lose an inhib, but losing Kobbe there, Xayah making that play happen was the difference maker.
And that's got to be a frustrating play, because that's one of those ones where you look back and go, okay, wait, why did we stand here? Why would you expect a Volibear to flash that wall? I mean, yeah, for sure. You can take it from either angle. If you want to beat yourself up, you go, why would we stand there? If you want to go, wow, that Volibear.
I understand why Kobbe wasn't expecting it, and I really praise the ingenuity of Xayah there.
Well, the ingenuity is only going to get better, too, as we now have the speediest item in the game.
Righteous Glory.
Righteous Glory. To bring him straight into that backline of the Misfits. Make it that much harder for them to get out. Humanoid, though, past the level 16 mark, can steal a lot of ultimates. The issue is the 8 seconds it's going to take for him to pick up another ultimate. Half his team might be dead. So I think on Splyce to kind of pick off some individual members here, and you can see Xayah, despite how scary he is with the team behind him, individually still quite weak.
And that's what's so devastating about like an AP Gragas, is that with a long-range cask, you can, take like 25% of people's HP bars?
Yeah, like 50%, I think, of Kobbe's HP at this point.
If you hit Norskeren, you might actually just kill him.
That's true. Very, very squishy cat. On top of that, it could, also mean that there's a very angry, very edgy samurai man in your backline instantaneously, so something that they always have to respect. Leader taking a bit more time, not too scared of the Predator warning above his head. Comes in, DanDan. Now pushing in on the bottom side. Vizicsacsi forced to respond. Not a lot to play there, but they have locked down the engage. That's going to be huge. Good pick off. Maybe Kirei is next on the list. Still has the cask, though. Can back off.
That's a lot. Expended again, though. That was Xerxe's flash right there to make sure that he got Xayah of all people. And again, it's just a pick off. It's just relieving some pressure on Splyce.
And you have to remember, the game is definitely not done yet. Misfits still need to close this one out. It might take another Baron at this rate. Splyce is doing a very good job of holding out on. Of course, the bottom side inhibitor, disastrous to lose it, but have not given up anything else. 26 seconds and counting until the next Baron will spawn.
And now it's going to come down to execution. I feel like scaling, I prefer Misfits composition. I feel like there's a lot of champions that scale really well, that demand a lot of CC and crowd control, and they do a lot of damage. Kirei. Whereas Splyce, I think it's harder to execute. Humanoid is dishing out good damage, but they haven't been able to really fight around him. He's virtually all of their kills, but in a lot of these picks, Humanoid hasn't been around.
And it's a difficult spot to be in, because you really do not get to dictate the pace of the game. You do not really get to set up in a kind of game like this. And Sylas, of course, still kind of forced to go to these lanes to get it, but that's going to be it. All right, wasn't just the cask, but the cask, the body slam, and the other cask will be enough, Froskurinn. So Norskeren is gone, and that means instant startup on the Baron here from the side of Misfits.
And what's the response going to be from Splyce? Are they going to say, screw it, we can't do anything, maybe we pick off DanDan?
But DanDan's learned from his previous mistakes. He instantly backs off, sees his team is going to get the Baron. This is pure advantage to the side of Misfits, and once again, the cat is caught out. That's like 3 for 3 on the surprise cat deaths.
It is just a really hard position to be in for Splyce, but Misfits playing this one out very cleanly.
Humanoid waiting over the wall, fishing for a bit of damage. Has to be careful, but without the cask available, knows he can play a little bit more aggressive. Of course, no real knockups outside of Xayah, and Leader on the top side means they don't have to be scared of the charging bear either at this stage, but Hansama there to protect Leader. Leader, of course, level 18 as the Mercurial Scimitar, has the Phantom Dancer as well as the IE, so very strong Yasuo, and it's a similar story for Hansama as well.
They're trying to sync their waves up with the bottom super wave that's now going to be pushing in. DanDan also tending to the secondary wave underneath it, so Misfits really trying to flood Splyce's base, split them apart, and see if they can get some of these picks off that they've been so successful with all game.
Of course, Splyce have been here before, had a very difficult hold yesterday. Apparently a bit of an easier situation for them right now.
Difference, though, is in this composition is that Splyce don't have the same easy wave clear options that they previously had with a champion like Tristana.
And for a player like Kobbe, you know that he's playing with fire every time he steps forward here. Stolen Xayah ult up and available for the Sylas. Looks like they may just try to kick things off here. Good ulti now going to come out. Hansama trying to bring it back with the feathers. Humanoid going to use his ulti to try to mitigate Hansama, but the flash out from Hansama will take him to safety, but Heba picked off. The mid lane tower, however, has fallen.
Yeah, this time around it's Splyce that managed to get the pick. It was Kirei who took the long path around trying to get back towards his mid lane, so Splyce to find the one window where they could actually collapse onto an opponent using Norskeren and Xerxe.
And Misfits playing with a lot of confidence here. I like the moves that they're stepping forward to take, and this is going to be their second Mountain Drake when they do lock it down. So even more massive for taking these objectives, for splitting up the map, for potentially taking their third Baron of the game.
And taking another look at this one, you can see that Xerxe and Norskeren pushed Kirei off the other side of the wall. And this Gragas does a lot of damage, and as soon as Kirei has gone over the wall, Xerxe and Norskeren immediately turn on the rest of Misfits into the mid lane and mow them down.
Oh. Calls coming out here. It looks like just a Vizicsacsi all on his lonesome. Leader going to try to respond. If he walks into this lane, if he is not careful, he will die. Splyce now the team. Far enough behind that they need to be the one to set up these death brushes, to look for these free picks and kind of hope to catch Misfits sleeping, but that is a lot of members coming over and has been spotted out. Immediately, Leader knows what's up. And
check out what DanDan knows. He now realizes that Splyce out of position, that they've committed all of their resources toward the bottom side. He is sprinting towards this minion wave, and it's forcing Splyce to decide. Do we commit to this play that we were trying to make on Leader? Do we try to flank them into the mid lane, or do we reset to catch DanDan? And they seem split in the call. One guy is back for DanDan. The rest are trying to make a flank in mid.
Xerxe hoping to find that flank on the backside. What can he actually get done here? The lockup is there. Now trying to make it on safety. Kobbe untouched, but immediately knocked out of the fight. Half health by the cast. Humanoid needs to be careful. The Colin coming in. Heba now going to be in trouble. Humanoid goes forward. That's the shutdown. That's two big kills coming in for the side of Splyce. Fantastic flank in the end.
And the call works out for them. The fact that Kobbe is also the beneficiary of picking up all those kills. Look at his itemization now from the Lucian. He's starting to dish out the damage. And it felt like Heba was covering for Kirei, and then just at the last second didn't cover him just enough.
Have to be careful. The AP Gragas, yes, it feels really good, but you are so squishy when you don't have the W up and available, and Kobbe just going to walk in, finally break the tier 1 mid tower. Actually, he's forced to back away in the end, still giving respect out to Hansama.
He has to be really careful here. Like, Kobbe is everything for his team.
Yasuo waiting off to the side, but Xerxe there to shadow as well, so it will just be the tower 4 now. And right now, Splyce getting some control back on the map. 2 minutes to Baron, 3 minutes to Elder.
But it's curating these really specific fights where they have clear advantages.
And here we can see Kobbe's pro view as he steps into the fight. A good initiation to start everything off, and it looks dire at first when he gets half health, but the Colin comes out. He knows that there are no cooldowns left, so he can just run into the midst of this fight. Ooh. So much damage comes in from the Lucian.
And so much gold, and also credit to the fact that he didn't have to burn the flash, so Kobbe still has that crucial summoner spell up and available for what feels like we're kind of collapsing towards the big 5v5. If it's going to be over the Elder, if it's going to be probably more closer over the Baron that's spawning sooner. The Guardian Angel, the Flash, those are going to be the difference makers. And it's time and time again that Kobbe has been the X factor and star performer for the Splyce roster when things look very dire. He did it in the Vitality game. He managed to pull it back. Couldn't quite find it in the Fnatic game yesterday, but maybe he gets another chance against Misfits today.
And DanDan, the one right now who has to be scared. He's just going to get pulled back. Kirei is waiting off to the side, but it looks like he may just have to be sacrificed. Kirei in the bush just needs to make it out to safety, realizing he might not be able to get this one. The Counter-Strike now coming in. Humanoid is there as well. What can Misfits get done in the meantime? DanDan flashes out to safety. She is not going to make it out in the end. Norskeren finds that kill, and Kirei still just waiting here. Still just hidden. No, he's been spotted. That's not good. Dashes over the wall. This is not what they needed. Misfits throwing it all the way on the back of this play. They're going to get nothing in return. But no, wait, Leader, potentially the hero in this moment. Can he break down that topside tower? Can he get another inhib? He's not. He's going to get the tower, not the inhib, but not ideal for Misfits. Still getting something.
But these are very long death timers. Now, I will note that DanDan has a 35-second death timer, the teleport available, and Baron spawns in 42. So if Splyce try to take advantage by moving towards the Baron, he can be there in time for the fight. We'll take another look at this one. So much was used. I do kind of echo your sentiment here that Kirei hangs around much longer than is probably necessary, unless the call was to try to delay Splyce as long as possible for Leader, who is pushing in the top side.
Yeah. And interesting in the end. I mean, good that they're far enough ahead to get something there. If they'd been a more even game, they probably would have gotten nothing. But Leader, of course, with enough time to push on top side. Now all eyes have to be on the Baron that is spawning first. Question is Splyce going to go for an aggressive play here, or are they going to risk trading a Baron for an Elder?
Feels like Splyce always try to play things by the book. So the first thing will be removing all of the vision, getting priority over your top and mid waves, and then turning towards the Baron. And as I say that, they're actually not going to do it. They're going to try to beat the timers of Kirei walking back into position, but Misfits will get here, maybe just as the Baron goes down, but in time for a fight.
7K dropping. Barrel goes into the pit, 1500 getting lower and lower. Kirei has the flash, can't go over the wall, but meanwhile the fight is breaking out. Leader in the midst of everything, he's going to get taken down. The wall might not be enough, he's now trying to back behind it. He is still alive. The Yasuo gets the knock up again. The fight continues and Misfits are absolutely dominating. Kobbe still alive on the backside, might be enough, but not in the face of Jax. Taken down, taken out. The GA, a brief break, but he's going down in the end. Misfits take the fight.
And Splyce attempt to throw the book out the window, but this is Misfits' game. They love that style of play. They race towards the Baron, they take the fight, and this should surely be the game.
So incredibly difficult to play those fights against a Yasuo wind wall, against a team that just wants to leap into your backline, and Misfits may have stumbled in a few moments, but here it is, the victory that they were waiting for. Splyce no longer in contention for the top two. They've been taken out, and G2 and Fnatic will be the two top teams in the LEC, courtesy of none other than these trolls on your screen. Finish the game. There you go. Hansama, the courteous man. Well done. Don't give me that look, Kiva. Misfits will take the win.
And they did it with flair. And pretty well exemplified by that ending to the game. I don't think that there's a better way for Misfits to make their exit of the LEC. Their 2019 season comes to an end today, but leaving a good taste in the mouth for their fans.
And honestly, I love that they played the comfort picks. I like that we finally got to see Leader pop off a bit on the Yasuo. DanDan's Jax continues to be a threat. And remember that this is kind of a reminder of what can come in 2020 for these players, hopefully for this Misfits squad.
And while I do want to praise Misfits, I love the fact of what we're seeing from this very young, inexperienced roster. I hope that they get more time. I hope that they get to stay together, that they survive the off-season, and we get to see them next year. But I do want to turn attention towards Splyce. Losing a very close game to Fnatic yesterday, and now losing this game to Misfits today, you could see it on their faces in their player cams. I'm just curious, what kind of mental fortitude does Splyce have going into playoffs to try to come back from this?
And remember, they have time to reset. But as fun as this was for Misfits, as much of a stylish game as this was, it is a difficult day for Splyce. Yesterday, second place was no longer in their hands. They had to win today. They needed someone else to beat Fnatic to force the tiebreaker. That's already got to be so frustrating. Losing here and knowing that the thing that was already out of your hands is just completely now gone because of a loss that you had here. If Rogue win later today, that will be heartbreaking for the Splyce lineup. But regardless, they are still in the playoffs. They have locked in the top of the standings. They will be in round 1. So we'll have to see how quickly Splyce can adapt. Of course, for Misfits, it's 2020. For Splyce, it's next week. So I think a lot, I'm not going to say a lot of changes are in order, but definitely need to tighten up in a few areas.
Who's your guess on Pogs? Player of the games.
Ooh.
I'm going to guess Xayah. I'm going to guess Kirei.
Xayah, that's good. Kirei, also good. I mean, DanDan. You got to give it to DanDan.
And I think DanDan as well. Did we get it right?
Leader! Hunts! Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here, of course, you can vote at lolesports on Twitter. And the other thing, if you're new here, is that if Hansama is ever in a poll, he's here. He's just, you have to vote for him, which is weird because Leader played Yasuo super hype, and Kirei popped off on the Gragas. Now, I debate who should have been on this list, but among these three, Frosco, who are you pushing people towards?
I mean, I think it was super fun to watch the AP Gragas just dunking on kids, but I'll go Leader.
That's right.
Yasuo.
Because I'm a Yasuo one-trick and she'll know a flamer when we're off air. Well, for more on this game, here's Laura with my favorite Yasuo player. It's Leader.
Thank you, guys, and thank you, Leader, for joining me. 2-0 week. I want to talk about your tweet earlier. Was it troll, or did you know that you would take down Splyce today?
Not really.
Not really?
I don't know. I mean, it's fine if we win and whatever if we lose, you know, but it's nice to, like, prevent them from getting to second place. So, and we bought Essence River at the end to honor Neon for selling his Essence River and kind of losing us the game, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. But yeah.
Why do you think you went 2-0 today? Because the previous week were not really like that for you guys.
I mean, okay, so we had a similar situation in when we were playing EU Masters and LFL. And then what we decided on was we don't scrim. So we didn't scrim this week. So we had no expectations at all. And we just win that way.
Okay, so maybe not advising LEC teams to not scream to perform better, but it worked well for you. I want to know, looking at this fight and looking at the way you usually play, you're such a clutch player, but you also spend some time inting, if I may. So what makes the difference between a great player and an inting player? What is your thought process when you go in?
I mean, when I int, honestly, it's most of the time because I feel like the game is kind of rough, I guess, and I don't feel like some of the players are performing like they should. Like, sorry to my teammates, but like they know when they choke, and I know when they choke. So I try to take it up on me, and it backfired a lot, quite a lot as well. And sometimes when I int, it's because of miscommunication as well. Sometimes, but it blows. I just griefed a lot this split, I think, like really unnecessary.
All right, learning from everyone's mistakes. Then now, taking a look at your previous weeks, what do you think about your journey in the LEC?
I mean, it's a bit disappointing. I mean, okay, so we started off with having no expectations because we started off with 2-6, I think, when the whole academy team got put in. But after we got a couple of wins and after we won against Fnatic, we just... it got to our heads, I guess. Then some people stressed out. Some people admitted that they were stressing out after winning. And so we actually thought we could make playoffs, and even we actually thought we were a good team, when in reality we were like a really mediocre, fine team, you know, like with only clutch players and some, but just with up and down performances. But now that we won 2-0 and made the Splyce not get second place, it feels good, you know. It was a learning experience.
I know, denying second place and I mean ending the season on a 2-0 must feel good for you, I imagine.
Yes.
I hope we'll see you guys next year, and thank you for
Hopefully
this
we'll
interview.
do. Thank you.
We're going to take a short break, and coming back it's going to be SK Gaming versus Origin. Don't go anywhere, guys.